Have you ever wondered how someone can make the nomadic lifestyle work on a practical and financial level? Well, on the Guapify Podcast today, we have Nicki, and she's here to break it all down. So we talk about insurance and taxes and managing finances while in another country and how she creates a sense of home wherever she goes. So Nicki genuinely shares her secrets to building a life of freedom and adventure. If you've been craving inspiration to figure out how to live the untethered 9-to-5 life, this is your episode. Enjoy. Nicki, hello. I am so excited to have you on the Guapify podcast. Thank you for making time. I just want to get right into it. Your story, your life is a dream in my sense that you're living the untethered life, separate, left corporate, 9 to 5. Like that is a thing of the past. And I want to know how you're doing it. Like, I want to know all the details. Just how do you afford it? What does it take to live a nomadic life? So let's get into it. Just give us a little background. Tell us who you are, what you used to do before you joined the world of the untethered.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Sorry if my Wi-Fi is terrible. I'm coming in from Panama in a town called Boquete, which is known for having geisha coffee and beautiful mountains and a little bit jungly. So reception not always great, but kind of crazy that I'm here. It felt like it's been a fever dream. I've been traveling for the last 2.5 years. After leaving corporate, as you mentioned, I worked at CNBC for 3 years. I was in corporate entertainment, working at Showtime and other networks for about 12 or 13 years before I decided that, I think I want a big change. And it was really because of the pandemic. When the pandemic started, I never worked from home. I never really had that option, and I was really enjoying my time. It also happened to coincide when my sister, my only sister and very close friend, had her first child in March 2020. I wasn't able to see him until he was 4 months old, went over in a mask and was so fearful of getting this baby sick. Spent a week. It was wonderful, but went back to work, kept working from New Jersey, which is where I was from. And then my sister's still having kids. My mom decides to move from New Jersey to Florida. Everybody's kind of like doing their own thing. And while I loved working from home and all of the luxuries that it afforded me, I still couldn't do one of my favorite things, which was travel. So just sitting there, saving money, talking about the future, what we're going to do when hopefully it's all over. And that kind of helps me get the confidence, really give me the time to start planning to what this new lifestyle could be. So fever dream again, I was just kind of thinking, I'm married, so my husband and I would be talking about it, talking about our future. Also decided that we would probably not have children, so we're living for us, and what does that look like? So in 2022, my sister was having her second kid, and I was excited to go over there, watch her first kid in Oregon, wait for this due date, and actually be a part of this experience that I missed the first time around. And right before, I kind of not felt the need to tell my boss, except for that I might have to take a couple days off, but I was going to work remotely. Nothing would be different. And he told me that it was time that we were going back into the office. And I was just kind of like, can I just take a few more weeks? This is really starting to like hinder these plans I have. I will still be a responsible employee. And it just kind of felt like there was some optics that seats needed to be filled, that, rent was being paid in these buildings and we needed to be there, but not really, because we were still getting the same amount of work done. And at that point, I had, again, been considering this for a while, but that was kind of the last straw. And I just decided I really wanted to focus and reprioritize so that I could spend time with my family, do the things that were important. I was financially able. We had been saving up a whole bunch, and we had made some investments, which I'm happy to talk about, that would create passive income for us. So we would have these streams, even if we decided to quit and weren't working. And even with that, being a corporate 9 to 5er, loving my job, hoping to get that A+ 5-star performance review, it was taking quite a plunge. I felt like I was stepping off a cliff, and all of my resume work that I had been, meticulously stacking for years, is it going to be null and void because now I have this huge gap? But I figured there's people quiet quitting. There are people who are let go. There's a lot of circumstances why people don't work. And I hope if I go back into corporate that they're willing to look past that. And if not, maybe in my new adventures, I'll find something that interests me even more. So I was open to the experience, but also deathly afraid, and just decided to take the plunge.
Oh my gosh, Nicki, I'm fully like attuned and attentive. This is so interesting, and I'm connected to it as someone who's been remote for many years and now hybrid. So that was the catalyst. You were like, I just want to have agency and autonomy over my life and what I want to do. But you also knew it took having financial freedom or
For
financial
sure.
liberty. And so you and your husband, you go by DINK, right? Which means dual income, no kids, for folks who are like, what does that acronym stand for?
Mm-hmm.
And you said that you had some investments that allowed you passive income, which prepared you for this. Can you talk to us a little bit more about that? Because I definitely want to know how you financially prepared to take this plunge, as you put it.
Sure. So, I mean, I would say that I'm fortunate that from the very first date almost with my husband, he's very financially savvy, but we understood the importance of owning a home. So when we decided to move in together, we were 23, but we both scraped together enough to buy a small apartment in Hoboken, New Jersey. So we had that. I mean, Hoboken was a booming market. We lived there for 8 years, didn't have to do too much work to it, but instead of putting money towards rent, we were putting money towards our mortgage, which was huge. And when we decided we maybe needed more than 800 square feet, which if you live in New York, that's pretty good. But when you're starting to just grow, and glad we did it because I ended up working from home and I would have probably murdered him before then. Don't put that in. We decided to move to Jersey City, and we were able to take the money from our Hoboken apartment, and we earned some money off of that, put it into a Jersey City Heights specifically apartment, which is also a very like rising neighborhood. So when we decided to take this plunge, we decided to rent it out, knew what we could get it for, and so that was one stream. Also during the pandemic, because real estate is something that we're interested in, see the value of, we bought something called a triple net lease, which is a property, it's a commercial property where the tenant, and in our case, it's a donut shop as part of a large corporate chain, but we don't own the donut shop, we own the land, has to pay the taxes, the maintenance, the insurance, everything for the property, and they still pay us rent. So it's a really hands-off way for a steady income stream. There's always a chance that this tenant could decide to move, but they had been there for 16 years at the time. There was already a contract negotiated for another 10 years. So we felt pretty confident about its staying power. And it was in New York. So we went to look at it. But that was in mid 2020. Again, kind of just figuring out what our holdings could be. That was definitely a more expensive purchase and one that we're not living in. But if you look at the ROI, the percentages at the time just made sense. So we decided that that was something we wanted to prioritize.
Wow, that's really cool. So triple net lease, that
Mm-hmm.
is an unfamiliar term to me. And that is one of the ways you make passive income. In addition to the fact that you sold your Hoboken apartment, you bought your Jersey City, there was a profit that you made from that as well. So were you able to put
Mm-hmm.
that away too? So now we have
Yeah.
like, a nice nest egg and passive income. Did that make you feel like you both were ready to take the plunge, or were there any other financial things you need to put in place before you said, I'm leaving corporate and we're going to go on this nomadic journey?
Yeah, I mean, the idea of something coming in every month from multiple sources was huge because we don't want to eat into our savings. We want to keep earning, hopefully even saving as we're traveling. And the other feature was, I had maxed out my 401k every year. I had always done that. If you're looking for financial advice and you're in the corporate world, I would definitely say, make sure you're getting that company match, make sure you're doing up to your 401k limitations if it makes sense to you, because I feel like that money just keeps on growing. And I kind of don't even think about anymore, but I look at it and it always makes me sigh a little bit of relief from just a decade in there. I also know that, I'm in my mid 30s and people will say that that's, where you really start earning more. But I kind of felt like I had been earning at a great rate. I felt comfortable. I was able to save for a while. So all of that savings made me feel good. But the passive income made me feel better about taking this leap where I know I'm spending and I'm going to be spending no matter what every day. Every time I breathe, I feel like I end up spending, but at least I have some money that I'm spending for. And then
And
the other thing is, sorry.
Sorry, you can go ahead.
And the other things, but these are, less exciting, but advice that I took on very early is CDs, certificates of deposit. If you're not sure what your next move is going to be, if you're not ready to buy a house because you're still maybe dating or trying to figure out where you want to be long term, and you just have money sitting there but you're saving, put it in a CD. At least for a while during the pandemic, the interest rates were really high, and instead of having your money there sit and earn 0.05% from your money market account at Bank of America, no digs on Bank of America, but kind of digs, you can put in a CD. Ally, Synchrony, all these mobile banks that will FDIC insure it and make sure that you're earning a little bit more on the top while it sits there.
Nice. So yeah, CDs, they have like 1 year, 3 year, 5 years, and then you have the Ally and Barclays, which is a high yield savings account, and you can earn like 4.25% or more during the
Yeah.
pandemic. So some nice rates. So absolutely, clearly, I have a couple of high yield savings accounts, so I'm a big fan. When you said you maxed out your 401k, now you didn't tap into your 401k; it's still sitting there, right? But like you
Yes.
made sure you maxed it
My
out.
contributions.
Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha. So if you can swing it, go ahead and do that. Now, you and your husband consider yourself FIRE, which is financially independent, retire early.
Yes, I would say for him, it's definitely more of a statement that he is retired. He worked at a family business. It was a very different trajectory for him in his corporate life, and one that he didn't necessarily feel like he chose. But I think he was very fortunate that he didn't have to hustle in the same way and kind of had a little more comfortable because it was a family business. For me, I definitely feel financially independent, and I am not working right now, and I'm just trying to enjoy, be in the moment, be a Black nomad, see what that experience brings. But I reserve the right to work because I did enjoy working. I like structure in certain ways. I like meeting people, coworkers, unless it's CJ Harris. That one I'm not really a fan of, but a lot of my work
Producer,
experience
shout
has
out to
been
CJ.
a lot of my work experience has been positive, so I'm still interested in opportunities. I think I'll just be more selective about what it brings to my life and not just do something for money.
So right now you have the option to comfortably travel without traditionally working because you have your passive income coming in and you have your savings. So talk to me about how you actually transition from living in the US because there are so many things to think of. Where do you go? What do you do about health insurance? Because one of the benefits to working a corporate job is that you have health benefits. So tell me first and foremost, like, what did you do for health insurance?
So before I left my corporate job, and again, I knew that eventually this would be coming, but generally I just wanted to have more permanent solutions for health issues or things I wanted to fix. I got Invisalign, I got LASIK, so I wouldn't need glasses. I wouldn't need to get contacts all the time. I wanted straight teeth and I wanted to do it more permanently, all while I had insurance. Before I quit my job, I went to the dermatologist, the chiropractor. I got an EKG, things I had never done before because I really did want to take advantage of that full insurance. And insurance is definitely one of the most expensive line items that we'll have as living abroad, especially since we still go back to the United States. We want to be covered there. We chose a plan. It's from Cigna Global, but it's more catastrophic. And so if anything really happens that's bad, we'll be helicoptered and brought to good medical care. Generally, so far, I've found that when we've been abroad, we spend a lot of time in Latin America, Colombia is one of our favorite countries. Passive income. We actually bought an apartment there in Medellin, Colombia,
Wow.
2 years ago, a year and a half ago, because we fell in love with it. We saw that it kept moving up, and talk about return on investment. We have a property management company running that. So it's great. We've gotten to stay in it a few times, but it's better if we don't stay in it and somebody else does, because it pays a lot. But Medellin is a great place, very hot with the passport bros, and a lot of people who are just traveling right now. The weather is great. There's great food, foliage everywhere. The cost of living, which I'll definitely talk about when I made my plan, considering cities and countries that had a beneficial cost of living. Medellin is great also for medical tourism. I'm not, going to get hair plugs or a nose job yet, but there are plenty of people who do travel to different countries to get medical work done, and some of it is more cosmetic, but I've just found a dentist there, got my cholesterol checked, and even with no insurance, paying privately, my cholesterol test was $2. My dental cleaning was $30. Like, can't beat it. That's a copay, or not
Wow.
even in America. And I do trust the medical care. I'll read Google reviews, go to Reddit. Reddit is a great source where a lot of expats are talking. Facebook groups are a little sketchier, I'd say, but doing my research and making sure that I am still getting good medical care, going to, urgent care if there's anything that feels off. And I still, through my insurance that I did choose, have telemedicine. So if it's not anything urgent, I can always just field somebody who's usually in the UK or the US. So feeling
Wow.
protective at all times.
That's so amazing. So you have this global insurance that you do pay into, but then you can just pay out of pocket because it's more cost effective in these other countries. So it's doable. It's possible. You got to do your research, like you said, go on Reddit, like read reviews, but you can make it with figuring out health insurance outside of a corporate job. So that's encouraging to
Yes.
know. Let's get into taxes since we're talking about like all the things, and what does that look like when you are still a US citizen, but you are living this nomadic life? Are you paying taxes on that property that you bought in Colombia, or just in general? Like, walk me through the back end of what that looks like.
Yeah, so I will say that I am definitely not using TurboTax for my taxes. I need somebody who is registered CPA, preferably with offices in different countries. Again, no shameless plugs, but I have been working with a company called Baker Tilly that my husband used through his job. They have offices in Colombia, and they've really helped us navigate, especially that first year of buying an apartment. That whole exchange was different because they don't use escrow. There is a financial exchange that, would probably make a lot of US citizens sweat. And then you own something in a different country where you're making money, and keeping receipts in a different way, IVA, which is like the Colombian tax. So really been reliant more on having a good accountant, making sure that if we need to pay double tax, we will. But if not, if it's just Colombian income or New York income, because that's where our triple net lease is, our rental income in New Jersey, it becomes very convoluted. I mean, even when I worked in New Jersey, and for a while I lived in New Jersey and I worked in New York, you'd get those refunds and you'd kind of be like, I think this is right. You get it from one state, but you're paying into it. It's like taxes can't, I'm not a CPA, I'm no expert, but I will say having a good accountant to help you navigate that, I would say, is definitely worth it, especially if you have multiple streams of income from multiple different sources.
Absolutely. Okay, so hire a professional is the bottom line for
Yes.
figuring out taxes. Like healthcare, you could do your research. Taxes, you may want to make sure you have someone who is well versed and skilled on how to navigate, especially when you have like multiple streams of income from different
Yes.
countries. So that's pretty cool. And when you are traveling and you're going to different countries, some require visas. There's been so many new laws, even for the UK now, you are required
Mhm.
to have a visa. How are you figuring out passport, visa, renewals, all of that?
Well, I'm always on government websites, including taxes too. I mean, I haven't thought about settling in one country or another. I do like spending time in Colombia and definitely like Peru, other countries where there's nature, cost of living. I'm still working on my Spanish, so I only speak un poquito, but we're getting there. So before I would actually move somewhere, I've been looking into different benefits that they have for expats. There are countries that will either give you an investor's visa. So if you invest a certain amount, buy a certain amount of property or put a certain amount of money into a bank account, that they would actually give you a certain level of residency that you might not get otherwise, which can let you come and go into the country, or pensioners visas. I'm currently in Panama, and this town that I'm in, went to the grocery store this morning, and I'm seeing a lot of what they call gringos, which are American expats that are roaming around. And we were like, do we miss a memo here? Was there a military base? But it just seems like the pensioners visa, especially for older Americans, is really favorable, and ex-military too. So they come down here. It's not too far from going, if you need to go home and you want to go get US medical care or see your grandkids, but it's warmer. You don't have to shovel snow. My mom moved to Florida because she wanted no state income tax and she wanted warmer weather. So everybody has their reasons, especially within the United States. You can either switch states or you can just decide to have probably a much cheaper life in general and have a new experience by moving somewhere else.
That's incredible. So would you say holistically your cost of living is significantly lower than when you were living in New Jersey, even though you're not traditionally working, but you're traveling and spending money? It sounds like it is, but like from your vantage point, how do you feel comfort level?
I feel great. I went home for the holidays and I felt like every time I took a step, money fell out of my pocket. The other piece of, being at home and seeing friends, which was really, really nice, is that our social life was probably more robust than it is when we're abroad and maybe on the move too much to make long-term friends. So we're not going out as much. Being social is expensive. Going out to dinner, going out to drinks, buying gifts, meeting someone's baby, bringing something over, it all really adds up. And not to mention the sticker shock I get when I go into a Whole Foods in New Jersey. The price for grapes or eggs, everything has gone up. So I definitely think I spend less, even though I'm paying for lodging almost every night. We eat a lot of meals out. For me, if I want to experience a place, that means eating the cuisine and checking out cafes and seeing whatever they have to offer, if it's museums or the sites. So traveling now, I definitely would say I have money, but I have more time in abundance. So when we travel, I'm okay with taking public buses or getting to the airport on a subway rather than taking cabs, just to save money. I'm excited to share a snack at 3 different cafes and us both eating at one place, and then, not having anything for the next few hours, and just trying to enjoy a little bit more. I was never that outdoorsy, and now I enjoy hiking and even camping, which is still shocking to me. Sleeping in the woods was not on my 2020, 2021 bingo card, but now I actually have come to love it. So I think just trying to make decisions about finances in small ways and trying to kind of kick some of my more expensive habits. I don't think I was too bad before, but clothing and material items are very, very low on my priority list.
That makes sense. So it really is just about funding the experience. And is this sustainable? Like, do you see yourself doing this for the next 20 years? Like, how do you even plan out where you're going for the next year? Do you align it to your budget, or do you just kind of say, like, we'll put, the places we want to go and figure it out as we go?
Yeah, I mean, so far in the past 2.5 years, we've gone to countries like Vietnam and Bali and Indonesia and South America. All of those do have a lower cost of living, but we have also gone to the Canary Islands and Tahiti. And if it makes sense, we'll fit it in. I think you can't keep the same budget for every country or city because it can vary wildly, and you just still want to have a good immersive experience in each place. We have been trying to find ways to supplement our budget. We track everything. We just use an Excel sheet. That's what works for us. You can look at your credit card bill, but it's nice just to see how much we spend on certain categories, and also just to see, again, how we're maintaining it, and to kind of not hold back when we don't need to, but generally be responsible. So when we're looking at our budget, we were looking at how our lodging was probably the most expensive. And so now we've been house sitting a little bit. There's an app, it's called Trusted House Sitters. Usually involves caring for pets too, but I love animals. So we'll go to different places. We've gone to Australia, Seattle, Vancouver, the Finger Lakes, and no exchange of money. You just watch somebody's pets and they'll let you stay at their lovely home. And you can kind of, it's like a dating profile. You see their whole house, the responsibilities, what amenities they have, and you can choose and interview or apply for this sit. So we've been doing that just to keep our budget down, and it's also afforded us great experiences. We've met new people through that. We've hung out with animals, and we'll also just look at where we think we want to go. When you are on the road and you're meeting all these other expats, Black expats, just living this nomadic life, you'll see that everybody's just like, oh, have you been there yet? Have you been there? Oh, you got to go to Turkey, or you got to go to Albania. And so I'm like, I'm adding it to the list. I have a running list on my phone, many running lists on my phone all the time of places that we want to go and see. So we just have to make sure it makes sense. Try not to fly from like Australia to Spain on a whim. Maybe we'll go to New Zealand first or see what's around. Make it easier, see what you can do on a train. We also have the luxury of just being able to fly any day at any time. Hopefully not the red eyes, but we're very flexible with when we travel, and that can get us lower prices. But I do try and plan in advance, because I don't think booking last minute is going to save you any money. I at least like to be a month out with a general idea. And because my husband and I are two people with two different wants, we kind of discuss, maybe he'll say, oh, I really want to go to Mexico. And it's like, okay, well, Mexico City, and we could take a bus to Oaxaca. Oh, Oaxaca, they have great surfing. And it just kind of stems. So we spitball off of each other, which is really nice, because we're compatible in that way. But he likes coffee shops. I'm not really a big coffee drinker, but I like supermarkets and soccer games. So usually between the two of us, we'll have a pretty stacked agenda every day. And then looking forward, I mean, hopefully this year I want to hike the island of Corsica in September, trying to fit more family vacation in. But that always, when you add in other people, the factors definitely change. So just trying to, see what else is out there in the world. I think there's 211 countries and I'm only at 42. So I got a long way to go.
Only at 42. And it sounds like you are making it work on the way. You're buying property in Colombia, you're house sitting, so you have passive income, you have additional income you're bringing in, you've lowered your cost of living, you have a CPA to manage your taxes. Like, you sound like you have nailed nomadic life. You might need to write a newsletter or a bucket list, 5 ways to leave your 9 to 5 and live the untethered life. You've definitely sold it for me. So I'm kind of excited to maybe consider that. Last question for you. Do you think this is something that you can do for the next 20 years? I know you said you don't have any reservations about returning back to work, but realistically, do you think this is sustainable?
I think for me in my personal situation, I could sustain it the way we are living and the places we are choosing to go and how we choose to live. I think at some point it will probably be old living out of a suitcase, only wearing the same, I don't know, 6 sets of clothes, struggling to find laundry. There are definitely some downsides to this lifestyle, but I would say the benefits definitely outweigh the negatives, and I'm still enjoying it, still have many places to see. So if my knees will let me, 20 years, I would love to keep exploring and seeing the world.
I love that. Okay, quick rapid fire questions. Cash or credit card?
Credit card. Got to get those
Tra-
points.
Travel points or cashback rewards?
Travel points all day. Shameless plug again for the Chase Sapphire Reserve. It's expensive, but the travel insurance benefits, the points, the DoorDash credit. I mean, I feel like if you like to travel, it's an excellent credit card.
personal financial motto that you live by?
Oof, I'm like, always be saving doesn't really capture it, but uh, that's what it is. I think it's hard to make a motto out of it, but when you start traveling, you start to realize what's important. And when I was working, I remember just being kind of sucked into, oh, my coworker has that brand new bag, or like what cars people are driving to the office. And I really don't care anymore. And I love that I don't care, because I could keep working and try and just, go to a country club or have experiences like that. Or I could stop working, experience the world, always come back if I really needed to, but have such a more, in my personal opinion, fulfilling life and just better experiences. So I'm very happy with my choice.
I love it. Thank you so much, Nicki. It was
Thank
incredible
you.
talking to you. I think we're going to need a part two just to find how you're doing, where you're traveling, where you're at. But this was so exciting. And thank you for being so transparent with how you make it work. It's really helpful. So I'm looking forward to chatting again.
Thank you so much, Kia. It was a pleasure. I hope you have a great day. And I hope maybe I inspired you and others to just live your best life.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. Like the untethered life sounds like exactly what I want to do. So thank you so much.